Greetings everyone, it's IT2, and today I have finished The Traitor by Anthony Ryan. Last book in the trilogy. I mean, there could be another book the way it ended, but The Pariah and The Martyr were the previous books. The Martyr I gave a 4.5, The Pariah I think I gave a 4. And I think this one is a 5-star book. It's just a little bit better than The Martyr. It's just kind of got everything. Wraps up the story nicely. A lot of people talk about Joe Abercrombie being like a good character writer, but I feel like the characters in this are better than the Joe Abercrombie the last. What's it called? Like, it didn't have anything to do with the story of Joe Abercrombie. Yeah, these characters, they go through stuff and they change. Like, there's one guy, he's like a mercenary, and all he cares about is money in the beginning, but at the end of it, he's like, they give him this gold coin, which is like worth a ton. He's like, I wonder why I even cared about this at some point. Like, he's turned into a good person. He doesn't care about money anymore. There's pirate treasure in this. There's angels and demons kind of a thing. You find out what the Seraphile and the Malachite really is all about. The Julina, the widow from the other books, that, like, you imagine her to be like an old woman because she's a widow, but actually, it kind of the main character realizes that she's actually young and kind of good looking, even though she's all like muscled from where she's been fighting alongside him in all these wars with her war hammer and stuff. And then he kind of like, they kind of have a little romantic interest thing going on. And then the whole thing with Everdeen Corlane, that he's been fighting all these wars with her for years, and like, not for years, but like, she's on this holy crusade, and then it turns out she's actually got the Malachite in her, and she's evil, and he has to turn against her, which is why it's called The Traitor. And he finds out that when they were sleeping together, she got pregnant with his child. So it's like almost like she's like a Jesus figure, but then she's like the Antichrist, and then his baby could be like Damien or something like that. So he has to decide if he's going to kill her, kill his son. There's kind of a time travel-y element to it, where this ancient book written by the Caerith, he wrote it himself like 200 years before he was born or something like that, which didn't really explain that whole thing. And he has like the vision of the future where he's with his son and he's still alive and like an old man. So these are possible futures that could happen. Like, there's all these different ways fate could come together wrong, and like some people know what the Vayrith or whatever is like this ability to see what could happen, but you don't really know if it's going to happen, but something like that. There's a bunch of wild shit in this. It's just great. Not that many castle sieges in this one. The Martyr had a couple of good castle sieges. This one was like a castle. It was pretty much undefended, and he just kind of scaled the walls and killed the people that are in there. It was like easy. Yeah, it did end a little bit too easily. There was one, I wanted to mention this. Right towards the end, I got kind of thrown out of the, I don't know if this word, I just don't know about this word. There's a big battle going on, and like there's this big powerful horse. And they're having this fight. Oh, as a big guy, he kind of like changed his size, and he's like knocking people out of his way. Anyway, I remember what it says. It says something like, the soldiers were being knocked about like Skittles. Skiddles? I just assumed it meant the candy, like Skittles. Like, what? Why would you say that? Right at the end of this, they got knocked around about like Skittles. Yeah. Yeah, I think Skittles, the candy, is named after some word that means something that gets knocked around easily. I don't know what it was. Yeah, you got Tyler, the mercenary. You got Julina, the widow. Ayin, she went through one of the best changes. Like, in the beginning, she's cutting balls off of guys that try to rape her. And then at the end, she's like the lady in waiting for the princess, regent, queen, whatever. And like, she has this ability to, so she learned to read from Alwyn Scribe, and then she got really good at counting numbers, so she'd like keep accurate track of how many soldiers they had, like down to the exact number pretty much just by looking at them. She's, oh, that's 15,620 troops we got right there. We had 127 die yesterday. She knew all these numbers and stuff. It was pretty wild. Yeah, just a lot of good scenes in this. You kind of go back through all the characters, and there's a point where he gets this magical artifact that lets him see ghosts. So it's kind of like, it's a good way if you want to write a story. Like if you have to kill off your main characters, give them the ability to come back as a ghost or like a flashback or something, so you can still like have the character in the story, even though they died. So it's like this big emotional impact, but they're still like. What was that book that did that? There was something like they kept doing through flashbacks. Like the main character died, but you'd still like get to hear from them every now and then. You're like, oh man, I really love that character. Wish they were still here. Well, they kind of still are. I can't remember what story it was. Anyway, highly recommended. Also, I forgot to mention with the Sun Eater, Christopher Rocchio. He has this talent for, at the end of every chapter, it's like a mic drop. It's like totally yeah. Most people like they start off their chapters really well. He does the ending sentence of the chapter. He's just like, it's like a mic drop. And this guy, Anthony Ryan, he does it too a little bit, not to the same extent as Rocchio, but yeah, I highly recommend sticking around in this story. If you didn't like the first book, keep going. It gets better. Just a really good story, and everything comes together towards the end. Not so predictably. It's a little predictable, but not quite predictable. Even like Toria from the first book, she went off to like look for this pirate treasure. She comes back, so she makes it back into the story at some point and resolves that thing. I feel like there's more that was a little bit unresolved. Maybe there is going to be a fourth book. I don't know. Covenant of Steel is what this is called.